What's up, folks? Hope you're okay and welcome to the Mind Muscle Connection. Now, this episode that I'm recording for my podcast is also going out on YouTube, so I'm kind of doing a dual recording for you guys. So if you're wanting to look at the numbers and you're more of a visual person, head over to Andy Spooner Fitness YouTube channel and you can see on there. For the guys that are watching this on YouTube, hello and welcome. So this week on the podcast and the video, I want to talk about getting shredded, okay? And the term gets thrown around quite often, quite a lot, and it can often be misinterpreted, taken the wrong way, and almost kind of implemented to people that don't necessarily need to get shredded. So, firstly, for those of the guys on the podcast, thank you very much for your continued support. Again, YouTube, thank you very much for your continued support. We really appreciate it. Please do go ahead and like the episode, share the content on both platforms, get it out there so more people can see it. Talking about getting shredded, 99% of the population don't actually want to get shredded. They just want to get a little bit leaner, maybe drop a little bit of body fat percentage, okay? They might want to lose a little bit of weight, feel a little bit comfortable, more happy within themselves, and the term getting shredded can actually offset their mind and kind of have them thinking that this journey or this task is going to be too difficult to achieve, and it puts a lot of people off and they never actually achieve anything. So understanding that getting shredded down to like single percent body fat percentages for the majority of the population isn't the idea. It's not their dream, it's not their goal. They don't want to achieve that. They just want to get a little bit leaner, drop a little bit more body fat, feel better within themselves, and just enjoy their training and their exercise. So that's okay. So understanding that getting shredded is for maybe 1% of the gym going population. But if we talk about dropping body fat percentage and getting shredded, we've got to look at a few things that are going to have an effect on that. So the first thing we've got to look at is your calorie intake. And the second thing we've got to look at is your training. Now, when we break this down, we've got to understand that caloric intake is going to be the deciding factor, as well as the calorie output. So it is an energy balance that we've got to get right. And if we're going to get that right, we've got to do a few calculations, and that's what I want to go through with you today and kind of talk you through the process of how you can drop body fat percentage and do it in the most comfortable way possible for you. Okay, so I've got a little bit of a whiteboard here. Guys on the podcast, if you want to check out the whiteboard, go onto YouTube. I will actually put a picture of the content with the artwork so you'll be able to see it a little bit better. But if you want to check it out on YouTube, go over to Andy Spooner Fitness and you'll be able to see it there. So firstly, we've got to look at your nutrition. And we're over on this side of the board here. We're looking at calories, okay? Calories in, and then we'll look at the calories out in a second. Now, to understand where we need to be with our calories, we've got to do a few calculations. So we want to take our body weight over here, okay? And we want to times our body weight in pounds by either 14, 15 or 16. Okay, now 14, 15 or 16 will depend on your activity levels. If you're someone that works out maybe 3 days a week, but you've got a desk job, you're probably going to be at around 14. If you're training 5 days a week and you've got a pretty active job where you're up on your feet most of the day, you're going to be about a 16. In between, you may be training 3 or 4 days a week, but you've got a moving around job where you're on your feet and you're doing kind of activity work. From there, once you've got your body weight in pounds, you've timed it by the activity level number, that will give you your calories. So I've got an example here of myself. Now, 200 pounds, if I times that by 14 and then by 16, that gives me 2,800 calories or 3,200 calories. So the range is within those numbers, and that's to maintain weight. Now, for myself, I always say I'm about 3,000 calories to maintain weight. So I'm right in that middle, I'm about 15, I'm burning a lot of calories on the go because I'm up on my feet and working with clients, but I also train quite a lot, and I do, in my spare time, I am sitting because I'm working on the laptop, I'm doing videos and kind of editing. So on that side of it, I'm kind of sedentary, but then I'm also up on my feet as well, so I'm about 15. So I go around 3,000 calories. From there, we've got 3,000 calories, but we want to look at the macro percentages. So from here, we need to look at proteins, carbs, and fats. So the first one that I always get people to work out is going to be their fats. Yes, okay, protein intake is big, But you can work out your fats, work out the proteins, and then the carbs can be kind of made up from whatever you want. But if we do protein first, for example, okay, protein, it wants to be around, depending on the person and their activity levels, and also depending on how much body fat you're carrying, around 0.7, 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. Okay, so some people will vary, some people will need more, some people will need a little bit less. But on the protein side of things, if we take 3,000 calories and we do kind of 1 gram per pound of body weight, for me, I go around 30 to 35%. So 30% of my food, so 3,000 divided times by 0.3, which is 30%, will give me a calorie intake. Now from there, I need to divide that by 4. And the reason why I'm dividing it by 4 is because protein per gram is 4 calories. Okay, so I do 30% of 3,000, which gives me a calorie intake number from protein. I then divide it by 4, which gives me the total number of grams. Now from the video here, you can see 3,000 times 0.3 divided by 4, which is the grams per pound, grams per calorie should I say, is 225 grams of protein. Now if my body weight is around 200, I'm still pretty lean, maybe around 12, 13%. 225 grams of protein is perfect for me. So that will be my set protein. From here, fats are the only macronutrient that you set as a percentage. Okay. Now different coaches will have different kind of ideas of what their macronutrients should be, but fats I tend to go around 20 to 25%. I may start at 20% and adjust them to 25. So 20% of 3,000 calories is 600 calories. Okay, so I'm going to be getting 600 calories from fat in my diet. If I then divide that by 9, because per gram of fat is 9 calories, so 600 calories divided by 9 is 66.666 recurring 7. Okay, so it's 66, 67 grams of fat a day. I'll probably go 67 just to round it up for argument's sake. From there, I can see I've got my fat sorted and I've got my protein sorted. The next thing I'm going to look at are going to be my carb intake. Now I can pretty much do the calculation from here and say that if I've got 600 calories from fat and I've got 700, 800 calories from protein, I'm going to have around 2,000, 2,200 calories from carbs. But anyway, the calculation that you can do, we've got 30% from protein, we've got 20% from fat, so we've got 50% of the calories left over. We've got 3,000 times 0.5, which is 50%. Again, divided by 4, because per gram is 4 calories for carbs. So if you divide that by 4, it gives me 375 grams of carbs a day. Okay, so I've worked out my macronutrients there. I've got 225 grams of protein, 375 grams of carbs, and I've got 66, 67 grams of fat. Now you can do this as well. So working out your protein intake, you work out your calories first. You'll look at how much you weigh in body weight in pounds. You'll do 3,000, times it by about 0.3%, divided by 4 will give you a protein number. 3,000 times 0.5 or 0.2% for your fats, 600 calories, 67 grams. Then you do your carbs and you can make up the rest. Now the only reason why I say 0.2 or 20% or 25% for your fats is once you've hit your dietary fat intake, your body doesn't need more, okay? It's down to preference where you get your calories from, okay? So if you do prefer getting more fats in your diet, it's absolutely fine. It's not a case of fat is going to burn more fat. It's essentially being in a calorie deficit is going to help you. So what we do is, once we've hit our 20%, you can make the rest up from carbs, okay? That's going to allow you to have a few more treats in there, some sugary sweets, some cake maybe, anything, the kind of things that people tend to enjoy. So we've got our calories, we've got our macronutrients from there, okay? Now what I would recommend is you start with maintenance calories and you look at, have you set them up correctly and do you actually maintain weight with that? A lot of people will not know what their calorie intake should be and they won't have been tracking it for a while. So from there you can track it using MyFitnessPal, you can use other online trackers. I use MyFitnessPal because I've been on it for so long, I'm comfortable with it, I know how to use it. But if you've never tracked it before, you might find it a little bit difficult, kind of which platform would be best for you. So it's just going which one is more ease of access and more that you understand. From there you can obviously adjust it. So we've set our calories, we've set our macronutrients. Now we're going to look at the training side of things. Okay. For me, this is again going off my example. I train pretty much every day, or I exercise every day. Okay. So now some people will probably hear that and think, well, that's just ridiculous. You can't do that. Well, if I tell you I do a push-pull leg split, so I'll do chest, shoulders and triceps on day 1, I'll do back and biceps on day 2, maybe with some deadlifting or rack pulls, and I'll do legs on day 3, and then on the 4th day, which would typically be a rest day, I'll do cardio. But when I say do cardio, I might do a circuit where I've got tire flips, where I've got ropes, where I've got rowing machine sprints, sledgehammer work, all that kind of random stuff that you don't necessarily do on your training days. And the reason why it breaks it up for me, it makes it a lot more comfortable. You could also go swimming, you could go biking, you could go running, whatever you enjoy. But some form of exercise or some form of activity every single day is good for the mind, it's good for the body. Okay, so I'll work on a push-pull legs cardio split, and then on the 5th day, so day 1 push, day 2 pull, day 3 legs, day 4 cardio, I'll go back to push. Okay, so I'll do push on day 5, pull on day 6, legs on day 7, okay, and then I'll go back to cardio. So I never really have kind of a set week, it just keeps rolling and it'll be different each day, alright? But using and applying that split into my calorie intake or energy balance, should we say, I've got my calories set, I've got my macronutrients set. What I'll do is I'll watch my weight over the course of maybe a week or 2 weeks and see what it's doing as I'm dieting. If I've got my calories set at 3,000 and over the first couple of weeks I'm not really changing anything, I'll look at either increasing the volume or the output of my training. So instead of doing, say, 4 sets of 8 or 4 sets of 12, I might go 5 sets of 12, or I might do a drop set, or I'll decrease the rest period in between my workouts, my working sets, and just increase the volume a little bit more and kind of get more work done so I'm burning more calories. From there, I can again watch my weight over a couple of weeks or a week and see what's happening. As you can see this pattern here, I've left my calories the same, but I'm increasing my work, my output, okay? What this is allowing me to do, it's allowing me to burn more calories, but still eat more food, because I do like eating food, and pretty much everyone that watches this or listens to this likes eating food, okay? Everyone does. If you turn around and tell me that you don't like eating food, you may have a problem, you need to go and see a specialist about it, because we're all foodies, okay? We all like eating food. So, I like to keep my calories high, but just increase my output. From there, it may have been another 2 weeks and I'm watching my weight. If my weight hasn't changed, again, I might increase the volume or the output, or at this point, I may make calorie changes or macronutrient changes, okay? So it's kind of increase what you can increase and then change what you can change at that point. Now, some of you may work out your calorie intake and your calorie intake may be very low because you've got quite a sedentary life, you don't go to the gym much, or you don't exercise much, and for you to drop your calories down more will be very detrimental to your goal and to your health. So the idea is that we look at increasing the output. Maybe get another day's worth of exercise. For me, that's pretty much impossible because I'm doing something every single day. So I look at increasing the volume of my workouts and then checking it for another couple of weeks, and then I'll change either the volume of my workouts again, or I'll look at decreasing my food. So I'll maybe take 50, 40 grams of carbs out, drop those down, keep my protein high, keep my fats where they are, and just see if that makes a change. So as you can see here, I'm making subtle changes to the diet and to the routine that over the long period of time, I will get results. But now it's not a linear pattern. So if I was to draw a graph, you wouldn't see a straight line from point A. For those of you on the podcast, point A is at the top and point B is my goal. There isn't a straight line to that, okay? There will always be a drop, plateau, drop, plateau. And it's kind of like a step formation, okay? There's no straight line to any goal. There's always mix-ups, there's always kind of losing the way a little bit. You might cheat on the diet, you might have a night out, like birthday parties and stuff where you have a little bit of alcohol, and that will get in the way and affect things. So it's never a linear path, it's always kind of moving up and down. But what we have to do is we have to notice those patterns. Now if you've got your calories set and you're tracking as best as you can, you've got your macros set, they're pretty much bang on, and you're training, you're exercising, you're watching your weight over a couple of weeks and it hasn't changed, again, make changes to the diet or make changes to your exercise output, the volume of your sessions, implement a little bit of cardio if you need to, and then watch it for another couple of weeks. Does your weight change? Yes, cool, keep it going. Only when you've done maybe a week or 2 weeks where you haven't changed, make a change to either your diet or to your training, and then you'll see the progress. Okay. Final thing that I want to talk about, and for those of you on the podcast, you won't be able to see the board, but I'm going to talk about them. Be consistent with this. Get your calories, be consistent with tracking them, be consistent with tracking your macros, try and get the percentages as close to you down as possible. They're all targets, so if you can't hit your protein target, if it's set to a point where you can't achieve that, get it as high as you can and be happy with that. It's not a case of you've got to hit that number. If you don't hit that number, all hell is going to break loose. As long as you're in a calorie deficit and you're losing weight and you're aiming for that number and you're getting close to it as you can, that's great. Okay, so be consistent with tracking your calories, tracking your macros, and you're going to start to see results naturally anyway. Okay. So from there, be consistent with your training, make sure you're hitting your workouts, make sure you're enjoying your workouts, make sure you're recovering enough, getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, kind of supplementing where you need to. Be consistent with all those things, be patient with those things, okay? Like I said, it's not a linear path from where you are now to where you want to get to. So you've got to make sure that, you've got to understand that it's not going to be a straightforward line, there's going to be speed bumps, there's going to be things that get in the way. Okay, but if you're patient with the process, the goal is inevitable. Okay, patient with the process, the goal is inevitable. So be patient with it. The final thing is keep learning. Now, this isn't necessarily keep learning about new diets. This isn't keep learning about new training techniques. This is just keep learning about how your body works. Okay, keep learning about who you are as a person. Because if you're learning about how much food you need to be intaking, how much training you can actually fit into your lifestyle. If you've got a busy lifestyle and you can't fit 7 days in, that's absolutely fine, just fit with what works for you. But keep learning about who you are as a person. What works well for you? Do you enjoy eating more carbs? Do you enjoy eating more fat? Do you enjoy eating more protein? Okay? Because some people like high protein diets, some people don't. Some people like high carb diets, some people don't. Some people like high fat diets, some people don't. Some people like doing push-pull legs cardio. Some people like doing full body workouts 2 or 3 days a week. Some people just like go cycling. That's absolutely fine, but it's what works for you. So keep learning about yourself and developing yourself into a position that you can get great results. And from there, you can enjoy what you're doing. So guys, that is literally the formula. It's not necessarily the only formula, but this is a great, honest approach without kind of going into fad diets, how it works to get shredded. Okay, so again, if you're watching the YouTube video, you can screenshot the board. If you're not and you're listening on the podcast, that's absolutely fine. You can go ahead onto the artwork and you'll see the picture of the board and you'll be able to get the formula and kind of implement that into your lifestyle. It is a case of being consistent, it is a case of being patient, and it is a case of keep learning about yourself. But once you follow those steps and you implement everything in a strategic way, success is inevitable. I said it a minute ago, success is inevitable, and you will get to your goals and you will enjoy the process a lot more. Okay, so I really hope this helps. Please do go ahead and implement it. If you've got any comments, questions or concerns, go ahead and put them down below, beneath the video, beneath the podcast. Let me know how you get on. So implement it for a couple of weeks, let me know how you get on. If you get any questions or you're struggling with it, post them below and I will respond with questions with answers and kind of help you and give you as much information as I possibly can. So thank you very much for checking this video out. Please do go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel, post questions, like the podcast. If you haven't already on YouTube, go ahead over to the podcast, listen to the previous episodes, enjoy the content, share the content, get more people listening to it, and we want to give honest information. So thank you very much for checking these out. And I finish every episode with, your mind will quit before your body does. So if you strengthen your mind, you will strengthen your body. Keep learning, keep progressing. Take care, guys.